What's going on, guys? Today we're going to get out of the office and I'm going to give you a walkthrough tour inside and out of the commercial gym buildings I just purchased. We're also going to open up the books and show you exactly how much money I make on this deal and explain how I was able to find it so you can find deals just like it too. All that I ask is you remember to hit that little like button, the subscribe button, and hit the little bell so you can catch my future videos. It helps out the channel a ton. And with that, let's jump into the tour. All right, welcome to the Fit One in Rigby, Idaho. This is a beautiful building, and I want to clarify one thing. I don't own the business, I just own the buildings. The business Fit One does a phenomenal job. They're growing like crazy, and they actually owned this building and the other one I'm going to show you and completely renovated it. That's why it looks so awesome. The reason they sold it to me is they're trying to expand, and that gave them the ability to free up cash. Now, let's jump inside. As you can see, they've just put in a ton of new equipment. I don't own the equipment, but I do own the building on a triple net lease, and they have done such a great job at keeping this building looking awesome. That's one of the things I love about a triple net lease. I have nothing to worry about. They cover the taxes, the insurance, any of the other expenses. They make sure they keep the parking lot and the building in great shape. And when we had a full inspection done, everything was perfect. Now, I called them and said, what time of the day and week can I go to run into the least amount of people? And this was it. But there were still people working out, and so we're trying to be as respectful as possible and blurring out their faces. But as you can see, everybody's loving it because this gym is so cool. You can see the lockers here, and that really is the tour of the interior. We didn't want to take too much time or make people too uncomfortable, but it just gives you an idea of how cool these gyms are and what a great job Fit One has done of keeping them up, keeping them looking nice. And so it's really cool to walk into a building you own that you haven't had to do any of the work on, and it just looks great. Now, I look like I know what I'm doing here. In all honesty, we got a full inspection. I'm just kind of walking the building, checking out how cool it is, and I'm really pumped on this deal. So we're going to hop in the car and head over to Rexburg. Now, this is the Rexburg Fit One. Again, freshly renovated. Just an awesome looking building. And one more time, with this triple net lease, they are responsible for everything. The roof, the whole building, the concrete, the parking lot, taxes, insurance, which makes it so great as an owner because every month, all that I have to do is get the rent and pay the mortgage. Again, all of their equipment is brand new. Their business is thriving and growing like crazy. And I'm really just lucky to have a small part in getting to own these buildings. And I'm really hoping with this relationship as they continue to grow that I'll have the opportunity to own more. So we'll see how that goes. This is kind of an up top view. I think this area is so neat how they've got the lighting and a place to be on the treadmills where you can see the entire gym. Again, trying to be respectful of people. And so we're blurring out faces, and we came at the most dead time that we could find. But these gyms are extremely successful, so they've always got people in them, and they're open 24/7. Got a nice little studio, and then me being a doofus out in front of the building. So I'm super excited about these gyms. It was very lucky that I had a friend that's actually one of the owners. And so when it comes to due diligence, they reached out to me and it seemed like a great fit. We got the lease put in place because at the time they just owned the actual buildings. So we were able to see what the lease was. They were also able to open up their books for me so that I could see that it was a solid business. We got a phenomenal lease with personal guarantees on all 5 owners. And the cool thing about this lease is it increases by 2% every single year. So it kind of sets me up for the property value going up as the rents go up. It's on a 10-year lease that most likely they will sign another 10-year lease once that one ends, especially if their business continues to do as well as it's doing. And so it ended up being a phenomenal win for both of us. I'm not going to dive into due diligence a ton, but I will say I put a ton of time into making sure that the lease was super tight, that we had personal guarantees, and that I did a proper audit on their business to make sure that I was very confident they could afford to pay their bills and pay rent for now and for a very long time. And all of these things checked out extremely well. And when doing these triple net leases, I think it always comes down to making sure that return is your desired return, making sure you're in a phenomenal location, making sure you have a great tenant and a fantastic lease. And if all of those things check out, I am a huge proponent of triple net leases. Now, you'll see currently when it comes to my cash on cash return, I was willing to take a lower cash on cash return than I ever have before on any of my residential real estate, but I also have the guarantee that rents are going to go up. And so that helps a lot with my returns. The other thing that I think is a guarantee is the fact that on my interest rate, I do believe that's going to come down over the next couple of years. And that also will drastically impact my cash on cash return. But the reason that I was willing to take a lower cash on cash return is this is a great cap rate for the tenant, the building, the location, and it's still going to give me a very good cash flow with no work. This truly is mail-in money because they cover all of the expenses, and every month I just got to watch the rent come in and the mortgage go out and see that account build for these buildings. Now for the fun part where we get to analyze this property, and if you download the CDS rental calculator, you can follow along. And this is a very easy property to analyze, and I'm going to analyze them together instead of individually. So the entire purchase price for both of these buildings ended up being $4.8 million. I put down 30%, and we had 2% in closing costs. It was a little less than that, but that just makes it clean and easy. We're on a 25-year AM, and our interest rate is 6.8. The rents every single month are $30,000, and here is where things get interesting because you don't have anything else to plug in. Because again, the maintenance, the expenses, the taxes, the insurance, all of that is covered by the tenant. So you plug that in, you leave the rest completely blank, and you click run the numbers. Now you can see my cash on cash return is only 5.32%. This is a 7.5 cap with cash flow of $80,150 a year. The one other point I wanna make is this is on a 25-year AM instead of a 30-year AM like a lot of my other residential stuff. This is because this is how commercial lending works, where a lot of times you need to do a shorter amortization schedule, but this does make your cash on cash return smaller and your cash flow smaller, but your principal pay down is going up much more quickly. So it has an impact on cash flow. We're still cash flowing great on this property, but again, we're building equity more quickly every single month in this property as well. I have a big investment, and when it comes to my actual cash flow, it is substantially smaller than what I take on other investments. And there are a couple of reasons for this. First of all, a 7.5 cap on this property is phenomenal. And after doing some research on triple net, I'm extremely excited about the purchase price. I'm also excited that rents are going up 2% every single year, and we're gonna show you what that looks like. But the thing that I also wanna point out is my interest rate is very high. And so if we jumped back and we leave rents where they're at, and we throw in a 5% interest rate, you can see that that bumps up my cash on cash return to an 8.25%. And I'm pretty confident in the next 2 years, there's a good likelihood we see that. And if in not the next 2, in the next 5, at some point, I'm very hopeful that rates are going to come down back to where maybe I could land this at a 5% interest rate, which would be great. Now, even if we go back and put the interest rate at 6.8%, and then we're gonna go to the rents, and I wanna put this up on the screen. As you can see, this is the math on that 2% increase every single year. So 5 years from now, and again, this is a 10-year lease, but 5 years from now, the rents on this particular property are going to be up to $33,122. So we're going to plug in with the same interest rate, $33,122. Then we're going to click run the numbers. And you can see that the cash on cash return on that ends up being a 7.8% cash on cash return. So that brought it up quite a bit. That also increased my cash flow to $117,614. And so with the fact that interest rates are higher than we've seen and than I think we'll see in the future, and that I have 2% increase every single year, there's a good chance that, again, if we go back and plug in interest rate at 5% and the rents at that $33,122, if I can get to the point where that is a reality, because the rents are going to go up, and if rates come down, then I'm at over a 10% cash on cash return. So there are a couple things that can change on this property. In reality, with the initial way that I ran the numbers, I just was excited to diversify into commercial real estate with a triple net lease, and I'm okay with that lower cash on cash return for this particular property. I might get a little flack for that, but I've been ecstatic about this property, especially when every single month that rent check comes in, and I'm gonna throw up a couple of those just so you get an idea of the feeling of what's actually going out and coming in, so that you know this is a legit deal and that it is exciting, even though this cash on cash return is lower, to get those checks every single month. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you remember to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell. And if you're interested in really diving into real estate and being a part of a community that can help you to buy deals just like this, we're just about to launch the CDS Creative Cash Flow Club. And I'm so excited about this. I've been working on it for literally years before finally getting to the point where we're about to launch it. And we're going to limit the number of people that are in it, and I'm not launching it yet. It's going to be another couple weeks down the road. But if you are really interested, send me a DM on Instagram. Let's connect, and we can put you on the wait list. So thanks so much for being here, and have a great day.